Hey, hockey fans, welcome to TSN's YouTube channel. We're going to bring you updates every single day from right across the NHL throughout the entire Stanley Cup playoffs. Right now, let's go to Winnipeg and bring in our hockey insider, Darren Dreger, who's standing by with John Liu, getting set for Game 2 between the Jets and the Avs. Guys, I will honestly tell you, I did not see this coming. The Winnipeg Jets tied for the best defensive record in the entire NHL through the regular season. They give up 6. Connor Hellebuyck gives up 6. They still win. Dregs, they got the win, but I got to believe that Rick Bowness might want to do some tweaking.
No doubt about that. There'll be adjustments, but there'll be adjustments, John, on both sides. You know, Jared Bednar thought the Colorado Avalanche played pretty well, but they've got to play better. They know that to beat the Jets. Yeah, structurally, Winnipeg was not good in Game 1, but all they care about is the win. But they're honest in how they played. And they talked about the discussion that they had inside the dressing room yesterday during the off day and some of the things that they were going to look forward to ironing out as part of game day prep today. So they poured over some video, and we're talking about just controlling, managing the puck, especially through the neutral zone better. Stop with the turnovers. Make it more difficult for the Avalanche to enter into the offensive zone. All of those sorts of things to take some of the stress off Connor Hellebuyck. So the mood is good. The Winnipeg Jets are thrilled that they're leading in this series, but they know, John, that there's a lot of work ahead.
Yeah, and the adjustments they're going to make are not so much in the X's and O's as it is in execution, because the Jets, for the better part of the season, were the best 5-on-5 team in the league. And so they have the template. They're not reinventing the wheel. But the fact of the matter is that this team has been pretty good at making adjustments and course correcting through the course of the season, because go back to the end of March, and they were in the midst of a 6-game winless streak. Connor Hellebuyck, at the end of the season, said that there was a point at the end of that winless streak where the coaching staff presented video to them, and it was like a light bulb moment for the players. It was like, oh, now we see what you're talking about. Then all of a sudden, they switch it around. They go on this heater, finish the season with 8 straight wins, and then add another one to it in Game 1. And so they are peaking, but they made a very important adjustment, which they will not tell to the media. We've tried multiple ways, multiple times. They will not tell us what they did exactly. So if we were to take that example as what this team is capable of doing when it's trying to make adjustments, well, and what they intend to do for Game 2, we should see tangible results.
It's always interesting when the guys are on the ice to see the conversations between the coach and the players. And there was an interesting conversation between Bowness, Toffoli, Monahan, and Ehlers. What did you see there, Dregs? Any idea what was going on there?
Yeah, I think there's words of encouragement from the experience of Rick Bowness to the experience of that second line of the Winnipeg Jets. He didn't have any issues or glaring concerns with how they played in Game 1. In fact, they were arguably the most safe line for the Winnipeg Jets. Tyler Toffoli on Monday kind of joked about the fact that they weren't on the ice for any goals for, but nor were they on the ice for any goals against. Defensively, Rick Bowness and the coaching staff love the way that line plays. They did get a couple of offensive looks in Game 1, but the encouragement comes in, telling Tyler Toffoli and Sean Monahan to get in the ear of Nikolai Ehlers. Nikolai Ehlers does have a tendency to throw the puck away on occasion rather than hold it until something opens up, maybe a seam, an opportunity, even shooting the puck to create a scoring chance. So Bowness want to make sure that Monahan and Toffoli, with the experience that they have, especially Tyler Toffoli, don't be afraid to talk to your line mate in Nikolai Ehlers, because the Jets are going to have to lean on that second line, especially, John, as this series shifts to Colorado, because at that point, Bednar then has last change, and it can't just be about Adam Lowry and the shutdown line of Winnipeg trying to contain Nathan MacKinnon and the stars of the Colorado Avalanche. The Toffoli line with Ehlers and Monahan is going to draw into that assignment on the road as well.
Yeah, Darren, it's almost like Rick Bowness is asking Sean Monahan and Tyler Toffoli to be player coaches, because what you've just described, Rick Bowness and his coaching staff have been on Nikolai Ehlers about that all season long. They love it when he holds onto the puck because of his speed and his puck skills. When he enters the offensive zone with speed, especially on his strong side, he has this tendency to curl around the zone. He'll circle the net, he'll come onto his strong side on the opposite side, on the right wing, and he'll look for options because now he's open to the play. And because of his passing ability and his smarts, he can do some dazzling things in the offensive zone. But like you said, Dregs, is that he does have a tendency that Rick Bowness he's been trying to flush this out of him all season long, is don't put the puck into dangerous areas, like just dumping it into a corner where you don't have puck support, or trying to make a seam pass that isn't there, then it gets picked off and the opposition has transition going the other way. So the fact of the matter is that late in the season, Ehlers, Monahan, Toffoli were reunited after Rick Bowness put Ehlers with Mark Scheifele for a short stint. But the fact is that the coaching staff thought that down the stretch that Monahan line with Ehlers and Toffoli was their best line at 5-on-5, and so they really are relying on that trio to be difference makers in this series and moving forward.
It's interesting, guys. We spent all the time so far talking about the adjustments the Jets have to make. They won the game. It was the Avs that gave up 7, specifically Georgiev, who gave up 7 on just 23 shots. That was brutal. The Avs have the #1 rated offense in the entire NHL. No doubt about that. And up until this point, they've been able to outscore their bad goaltending. Can they do that against the Winnipeg Jets? Or does Georgiev put them in a position where it's like, no matter what we do, we're always going to give up at least 1 or 2 more than the Jets will give up?
Well, Gino, Nathan McKinnon was saying this morning that they absolutely have to tighten up their defense in the home plate area, that they want to cut down on those inner slot shots because, well, that's where Georgiev and the Avalanche have been getting it eaten alive by the Jets in the last 2 games. And so that's an area of improvement that they really want to focus on. It's like they absolutely do not want to get into a situation where they're trying to outscore their problems between the pipes. Cale Makar said that they are in full support of Georgiev. He describes the atmosphere in that dressing room as a family atmosphere, and you'll hear all the teams will say that. But the fact is that this Avalanche team, what they've been able to accomplish these past 2 seasons, as far as they've gone without their captain Gabriel Landeskog in the lineup, they are a very tight-knit unit, and so they are fully behind Georgiev despite his struggles.
Yeah, I mean, goaltending is a big question, clearly, for the Colorado Avalanche, and Georgiev has to be better in Game 2 or the Avs have a problem. It's weird, man. Justus Annunen is just not available. I mean, talk about a sickness. This guy has been ill for a stretch here. So they don't have the depth in that position. Conversely, you look at the Winnipeg Jets. I love the way Connor Hellebuyck mentally prepares and is able to flush. You know, again, Rick Bowness asked about it after the morning skate. You know, how much faith do you have in Hellebuyck? 100%. That's the level of faith they have in Connor Hellebuyck. He was available to the media yesterday, and he talked about his mindset late in that hockey game, Game 1 on Sunday, and he said, look, all I felt like I had to do was make 1 more save than Georgiev. Well, that's the experience of Connor Hellebuyck. But goaltending is definitely going to be a tipping point, and it heavily favors the Winnipeg Jets.
What about Adam Lowry, guys? In my mind, he was putting in the best heroic effort last game. Not only does he score 2 goals, he keeps Nathan McKinnon down to 1 goal. So Lowry defensively did everything you could possibly ask for as he's playing against one of the best players in the entire world right now, and yet he's still adding offense. What can you add to what you saw from Adam Lowry in person, Dregs?
Well, you know what, Gino? To me, this is a progression of Adam Lowry. When you talk about the fact that he was succeeding a long-standing captain, you know, Blake Wheeler he's going to go down as a legend in Winnipeg as the longest-standing member of the 2.0 Jets as a captain, and he holds most of their records from an offensive standpoint. And so Adam Lowry had big shoes to fill, but he slid in there so seamlessly, like prior to training camp, that they put the letter on him, and it was really a statement on the Jets' parts that they wanted to set the tone, that they wanted him to be their guy, not just to wear the letter, but for all the players to follow. And that's what we saw all season long, that Adam Lowry was the inspirational leader. His play did not dip at all. Yeah. His game, as far as 5-on-5, he kills penalties. He had to fill in a power play on occasion due to injuries, but the fact is that he led and he performed and he executed at a high level all season long, and now you're seeing him do it in the playoffs. So this is, again, another gear, another level to the captain, inspiring his team. And it's like listening to his teammates yesterday, they were just gushing about him. Rick Bowness, same thing too. It's like, well, what more?
Yeah.
You ask us what can we add? Rick Bowness couldn't add much more to the conversation. So, I mean, that just speaks to what Adam Lowry is doing this season and what he's continuing into the playoffs.
You know, he's so close to being Mr. Automatic, right? This guy is wired to defend, and he can do that in many different ways. If you need him to be physical, 100%, he's buying into that game. If you need him to be mean and part of being physical, he's happy to play that role as well, shift after shift. Adam Lowry is a shutdown forward in the National Hockey League who relishes the opportunity to do just that, shut down the best in the sport. And that's where you draw the line, direct line to Nathan MacKinnon. So coming into this series, yeah, you bet. I mean, Adam Lowry was absolutely jacked. Couldn't wait to get onto the ice in Game 1 to match up against the MacKinnon line. And then he chips in with 2 goals, including a big one, to stretch the lead to 5-3 when he goes post to post to post. So he's capable of doing a little bit of everything on the ice, off the ice. He's a true leader.
All right, guys, last question. I want you to both chime in briefly on this one with your own opinion. Before the season, there was question about, man, if we don't get Scheifele and Hellebuck re-signed, maybe the Jets go into a rebuild. Who knows where they go? Then they both get signed. We have an amazing Vezina-type season from Connor Hellebuck, and now this team's up 1-0 in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Who gets the lion's share of the credit? Hellebuck, who's showing the way in net, offensively, maybe Scheifele, Kyle Connors, or are we looking at Chevy or Rick Bowness? Who do you give the lion's share of the credit for where this team is now compared to where we thought it might be before everything started to transpire in the offseason?
Go ahead, John.
Yep. I was going to, before you actually said Kevin Shovel-Dayoff, I was going to go off board and say Kevin Shovel-Dayoff, because, Gino, when we go back to last summer, with the uncertainty, not just with Connor Hellebuck and Mark Scheifele heading into contract seasons, it was like, well, we knew that Pierre-Luc Dubois wanted out. What was going to happen with that situation? What was going to happen with Blake Wheeler, who was going to be heading into the final year of his contract, right? And the fact that Shovel-Dayoff was able to get a king's ransom in return for Dubois and made the tough decision to buy out Wheeler because they needed to make a change in terms of the team's culture, the shape and tone of its leadership. That, to me, opened the door for what transpired through the rest of the offseason. And then when he had those candid, open conversations where he laid out his plan to Hellebuck and Scheifele and really got them on board and convinced them to sign long-term, to be lifetime Jets, everything fell into place after that. So for me, Kevin Shovel-Dayoff.
Yeah, I'm with you. And, Gino, I'm going to steal a page from the wily old veteran Bob McKenzie's playbook, and I'm going to say all of the above. But I'm also going to add a layer, and that's ownership. Mark Chipman, David Thompson, True North. For, again, having the intestinal fortitude to make the tough decision. They could have embraced the idea of, going through a renovation or a rebuild, given where the Jets were at in terms of organizational position. But they also recognized after doing some research that that wasn't prudent. This market would not withstand that. So now you dive in, and as an ownership group, you invest big dollars, mega dollars, into Hellebuck and Mark Scheifele. They buy into it. It's clearly not about the money, but as soon as those two individuals signed after great work by Kevin Shovel-Dayoff and management, then that absolutely set the table for everything that this season has been about in Winnipeg. So the future looks bright, maybe a lot brighter, but they've got to get through Colorado first.
All right, hockey insider Darren Dreger alongside reporter John Liu, who covers the Winnipeg Jets on a daily basis, teeing up Game 2 between the Jets and the Avs in their opening round matchup.